What's going on, everyone? Video 17. This video is Teachers of Reddit. What is the smartest, most creative way of cheating that you've seen? Posted by German900. Let's get into it. I'm a high school teacher, but this story is about my own high school math teacher playing us and cheating. It was an honors algebra geometry class, and it was well known that Mr. D reused the same questions every year, just changed the numbers. He made a big deal about making sure we all gave our exam papers back to him after we had looked at our scores and gone over everything together to prevent cheating for the next year. Well, of course, some of my classmates got their hands on a complete set of tests from the previous year. Soon, everyone had a set. Before each exam, we would sit together and make sure we knew how to solve every problem on that test so we could do it on the real exam with different numbers. Years later, when I became a teacher myself, I saw Mr. D at a funeral. I confessed to him that this is what we used to do. He smirked and said, "Who do you think leaked the test packet to get you to study?" Mr. D had figured out that kids won't study if the teacher suggests it, but if they think they're getting away with something, they totally will. So he managed to get a test packet out and circulating as contraband. Blew my mind. College physics. Girl with the really intricate tattoo on her leg wrote formulas in between the tattoo lines. Even looking closely, you couldn't tell unless you knew what you were looking for. You could tell it was test day because she wore shorts. There was a class that allowed you to bring one sheet of handwritten notes to exams. I knew a guy that created a font of his own handwriting and used to print the entire study guide onto a piece of notebook paper, front and back. He even set the font color to pencil gray and managed to get the margins and spacings exactly right to look like it had been handwritten. My girlfriend works for a dental exam company, which are obviously super high-stakes exams. Since the exams are worldwide, they have actually found people from one time zone paying people from another time zone to email questions to them right before the exam starts. Not the student, but the teacher. So, the teacher, let's call him Mr. A, had a reputation for being a phenomenal teacher who had every student engaged/invested in his class, no matter how mundane the subject. Anytime he asked a question, every student's hand would shoot in the air, with them shouting things like, "Call on me," or "I know the answer." Simply, Mr. A developed a reputation in the district as one of the best teachers. Fast forward a couple years, and I'm grabbing coffee with Mr. A, and I ask him, "What's your trick? How did you get every student bought in?" His response, "Well, I told the kids every time we had a visitor in class, I need you all to raise your hand like I was giving away free candy. But if you don't know the answer, raise your left hand. If you do know it, raise your right hand, so I know who to call on. We all look good." Works like a charm. My exams that used a graphic calculator required us to show the examiners a proof of reset screen before the papers started, so instead of actually studying for my papers, I painstakingly redrew the proof of reset screen pixel by pixel in the TI-84's pixel art program and stored it all in my notes. What I used to do in math, if I had a graphic calculator, slide off the top and then write everything in small handwriting in the back of the cover. Real fine pencil, no one's gonna know, and then you just set it right to the left or right of your calculator. If someone comes over, you just place the calculator on top of the cover, you're golden. During a spelling test, "Miss, how do you spell piano?" The spelling word was piano. Teacher went on autopilot and started spelling the word. I was grading an assignment that had a 1,000 word count minimum, and one particular paper just felt really short to me despite Word telling me it was roughly 1,100 words long. On a hinge, I clicked Control A, and sure enough, after the paper concluded, there was a lot of white nonsense text on the white background. Physics professor posted the answers to the homework online after it was due. Thing was, he was just making the existing pages visible, and the URLs followed a simple and predictable format. If you knew the URL, you could look at it before it was made public, with an example of the URL underneath. My sister-in-law is a teaching assistant at her kid's school. Her youngest daughter, my niece, was 7 at the time. She stole the test the night before, pretended it was homework, and had her mom help her with the homework. Then she sneaked the answers into the test. One of the kids caught her, let the teacher know, and my sister-in-law, who was overseeing test conditions, died inside when she realized it was the homework sheet that she filled out. Got outsmarted by a 7-year-old. I was a TA for anatomy and physiology. The professor would ask me to sit in on final to prevent cheating. One kid came in with a vitamin water. No worries. Halfway through the test, the professor noticed they kept turning the bottle and squinting. This goes on for another 20 minutes. Professor goes up, grabs the vitamin water bottle, and rips off the label. It had a crib sheet written on the back. The students had gone to the effort to make a fake vitamin water bottle label and write notes on the back. The professor was impressed by the creativity and decided to give the student a 0 and not report them to the academic committee. A classmate was printing the answers on his paper in a very pale gray so that it would barely be seen. Still got caught because the other teachers noticed him reading an empty sheet. Stretch a rubber band around a textbook, write whatever you want on it. Then when you take it off the textbook, it'll just look like scribble until you scratch it to see what's written. Spanish conjugations, drove me to do some incredibly unethical things. High school kids recreated a Snapple label where the nutrition panel on the back had all the answers, formulas, etc. Only got caught because I never seen the flavor before and wanted to see how much sugar was in it. As a student, I remember my entire year level was accused of cheating, as the test results came back consistently high. What the teachers failed to realize was that some of the answers were actually hidden in other questions. So if you got stuck on one question, you could find the answer later on in another question. An example would be, this was a Japanese language test. What does blank word mean? And later on, a question would use that word in context so you would understand what the word meant. Used a text file on one of the original iPods. Teacher was fine with listening to music during test. Made my life so much easier. My teacher shared us a story about how since she allowed eating during her test, one person pulled out a giant bag of M&Ms and ate specific colors corresponding to A, B, C, or D. It was a 2-student duo, and they only got caught when another student ratted them out. In high school, I was in a computer-based learning program, and our science tests were taken digitally. However, they used a program where once you entered the test, your entire screen was locked into the test, and the only way to exit was to click the finish button on the test or turn off your computer, which effectively did the same thing. Another feature of the program was that once you were in the test, anything you had in your clipboard, copied text, was not able to be pasted into the answer section on the test to be prevented, the only other way to cheat. However, after creating my own classroom at home, making fake tests and playing with the program to figure out a way to cheat, I realized that it would allow you to copy things from inside the test and paste them elsewhere in this test. The developers of the program also did not take into account the sign-in screen where you have to find the test and enter it. Long story short, I could copy my entire page of notes I had taken on the test material, paste it into the section where I would enter my login information, then recopy it, enter the test, and paste it again in one of the answer sections, using it to answer every question and then deleting it before clicking finish. One of my old teachers told us a story about a student who had rigged up a tiny scroll of paper in a wristwatch with notes written on it. He turned the scroll by winding the watch. He ended up getting caught because he was winding his watch so damn much during the exam, but the teacher loved the creativity. A classmate broke the screen and keyboard of his calculator and hid his cell phone in it, so it couldn't be seen from the teacher's position. The teacher approached him from behind and caught him, though. So, not a teacher, but I witnessed probably the biggest cheating-related scandal in our high school's history. For context, we had the sweetest old guy as our chem teacher. He called everyone bud or buddy or ma'am. He always helped. He volunteered to teach driver's ed after school so kids could learn to drive. He always had a twinkle in his eye because he genuinely showed love and kindness to everyone. A side effect of this was that he was very trusting. So one day, before finals, he ran to the bathroom during class while everyone was wrapping up their lab reports. While he was gone, someone ran to his desk, found the finals just sitting there, snapped a pic, and then ran back to the desk before he got back. Somehow, no one tattled, probably because 90% of our grade level in that class was on board with it. The pictures got texted around, but a few people were smart enough to Bluetooth in to each other so it couldn't be tracked. Well, after that test, everyone had high scores, and apparently someone confessed. This resulted in a huge investigation by the assistant principals, school police officer, and faculty. They traced every text message and busted so many people, all except the ones who transferred via Bluetooth. They had to reissue the test. Man, that was crazy. I felt so bad for the teacher. He was really sad someone had taken advantage of him, and I was too. Such a good dude. Edit 2, to clarify. I'm not going to read the first edit. Edit 2, to clarify, the school didn't trace the messages. They just had 1v1 interviews with the school cop nearby so kids would feel pressured to snitch. Apparently a few cracked under the pressure, but a fair number got away with it. Edit 3, also, the cop was our school cop. Real badge, gun, car. He was just there to protect us against school shooters, bombers. He patrolled the loiterers, ran drug searches, ran security after school events and pep rallies, etc. So no actual police force was present, just this guy. I think that's going to be it for this video. If you guys liked it, again, please comment, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.